NBC's The Voice kicked off its battle round with a pairing choice that coach Adam Levine finds impossible. In a clip of Monday's episode shared exclusively with The Wrap, Team Levine singers Britton Moore and Darius J go head-to-head by collaborating on a rendition of Radiohead's Creep, which Kelsey Ballerini calls magic. "I think both of you have a great shot at winning this show, and you're not on my team. It makes me sad," she says. "Maybe we can change that." Ballerini then compliments Darius J's yummy runs, while noting that Moore is like the boy next door, a quality she thinks makes people root for him. Michael Bublé goes on to call Darius J a less sweary Gordon Ramsay due to his love for entertainment, and says he thought the choice was obvious until Moore hit his top note. "I was like, oh no, Adam Levine, what are you going to do?" Bublé jokes, "Played by too much greatness," Levine replies. Bublé doesn't end up disclosing his personal pick for the battle round, because whomever isn't chosen, I need to have him in my life. John Legend was also struck by the high note, adding that he loved Moore's tone, leading him to pick Moore as the winner. Adam Levine, the charismatic frontman of Maroon 5 and one of the coaches who has been on The Voice for the longest amount of time, has been forced to go through a number of challenging choices during the course of his career. He is widely regarded as one of the most influential mentors in the music industry, and his coaching approach is a combination of tough love, encouragement, and a keen intuition for identifying undeveloped ability. On the other hand, nothing could have adequately prepared him for the events that transpired on the night of the battle rounds. When he was faced with the challenge of choosing between two contenders who possessed outstanding talent, he said that the decision was impossible. When it comes to the battle for The Voice, the battle rounds are among the most compelling stages. During the competition, two candidates from the same team compete against each other by singing the same song in an effort to triumph over one another and win the favor of their respective coaches. At the conclusion of the performance, the coach is faced with a difficult decision: which of the contestants will advance to the next round, and which will be eliminated from the competition. At this crucial juncture in the battle, the stakes are bigger than they have ever been, and there is no option that is simple to make. However, for Adam Levine, there was a specific struggle that would put his ability to pick between two stars to the test. Both of these stars had the potential to win the entire program. Mia Scott, a soulful singer with a rich voice and exquisite range, and Jonathan Wright, a strong performer with an engaging stage presence and a profound passion for music, were the two finalists who Adam chose to pair together. This was the beginning of everything that was to come. During the blind auditions, both of them had stood out as exceptional candidates, and Adam and the other coaches were quite impressed by their natural skill. As the battle rounds drew near, Adam was aware that putting them together would result in intense excitement, but he was also aware that doing so would require him to make one of the most difficult choices he had ever faced in his professional life. Ms. Mia has a voice that had the ability to send shivers down your spine. She had completed her training in classical music and possessed the kind of vocal control that made every note sound as if it were effortless. The jazz and R&B influences that she incorporated into her music made her a formidable opponent. Jonathan, on the other hand, was a performer who came naturally to the stage. It was impossible to deny the enthusiasm that he exuded on stage, and his capacity to captivate the crowd was unparalleled. His voice was instantly recognizable, and it was full of character and grit. When he sang, you could feel it in your bones. His tone was full of character and grit. The famous anthem of tenacity and resolve, "Ain't No Mountain High Enough," was the tune that Adam chose to play during their fight. In addition to providing both vocalists with the opportunity to demonstrate their vocal range and stage presence, it was a wonderful match for both of them. Nevertheless, as the practices continued, Adam's exhilaration gradually transformed into a sense of worry. Both of the participants were doing quite well in the song, and rather than engaging in the customary friendly competition, it became immediately apparent that this was going to be an extremely difficult decision to make. Adam found himself having a difficult time choosing between the two vocalists' performances as they were practicing together. Jonathan's smoky, deep tone conveyed a genuine emotion to the song that was difficult to ignore, while Mia's vocal soared on the high notes, providing a precision that appeared almost magical. Both of these voices contributed to the song's overall impact. Jonathan's powerful vocal run was a response to every high note that Mia hit, and the two of them worked together to push each other to even greater heights. It was abundantly evident to Adam that he would be losing a star regardless of who emerged victorious. "I've never had two contestants like this on my team," Adam stated to his colleagues' coaches during a quiet moment in the rehearsal studio. "I've never worked with two contestants like this before. It's almost as if I'm putting myself in the position of having to choose between two enormous natural forces. It is inconceivable to me to send one of them back home." Adam was the target of Blake Shelton's playful mocking, which he couldn't help but do despite his best efforts to suppress his smile. "It seems like this is the objective of the game, doesn't it? Instead of being a babysitter, you are a coach. A choice must be made." On the other hand, Adam, who had never been the kind to avoid making difficult decisions, found himself more contradictory than he ever had been before. His decision-making process evolved into a combination of admiration for both singers and a fierce conflict within himself. Considering the fact that both of them were equally talented, how could he possibly pick between them? The night of the battle rounds arrived, and the energy that was there in the atmosphere was evident. A murmur of excitement could be heard emanating from the audience as Mia and Jonathan stood side by side on the platform, getting ready to compete against one another. A struggle that would stretch both vocalists to their limits was about to take place, and they knew they were going to see a performance that was unlike any other. After the music started, the stage gave off the impression of coming to life due to the intensity of their voices. Together, Mia's controlled and elegant delivery and Jonathan's fierce and passionate performance created a combination that was both strong and beautiful. Mia's delivery was controlled, while Jonathan's performance was passionate. The audience was standing up and cheering enthusiastically for each and every note that they played. There was no doubt that they had left everything they had on the stage. Following the conclusion of the event, the coaches remained silent for a brief period of time, soaking in the events that they had just watched. The level of anxiety in the room was high, and the applause was so loud that it was deafening. With a look of complete and utter exasperation on his face, Adam stood there and started staring at his two competitors. Even though he was aware of what he needed to do, the choice seemed to be an insurmountable obstacle. Despite the fact that his voice was heavy with emotion, Adam replied, I honestly don't know what to do right now. Both of you were quite exceptional. To put it simply, Mia, your voice is exquisite. Jonathan, you possess a power and a soul that compel others to want to listen to what you have to say. All people. Nevertheless, at the end of the day, I have to make a decision, and I am not sure how to go about it. The two of you are deserving of moving forward. Adam's inner anguish was detected by the other coaches, and they exchanged knowing glances with one another. Although they had witnessed Adam make challenging choices in the past, this was a new experience for them. A simple response was not available. Adam, Gwen Stefani whispered, breaking the silence, you are in the most difficult situation right now. On the other hand, this is the charm of the voice. The decision that you make must be the one that is in the greatest interest of the team, and it is not always about who is the most gifted. It all comes down to someone you think has the potential to succeed. Even as he continued to digest the enormous feelings that were roiling within of him, Adam nodded. It is true. To put it simply, it is not conceivable. The decision that Adam made was finally made, after what seemed like an age had passed. He inhaled deeply and then shifted his attention to Jonathan. It has been decided that Jonathan will advance to the next round. Adam was aware of the consequences of his decision, despite the fact that the audience exploded in cheers. Mia had given her performance her absolute best effort, and there was no question that she was deserving of a spot in the tournament. But at that very moment, Adam was aware that the raw energy and stage presence that Jonathan possessed were exactly what his team required in order to advance. While hugging Jonathan, Mia managed to smile despite the tears that were streaming down her face. Even though it was difficult for her to let go, she understood. The choice that Adam made, despite the fact that it was challenging, was made with the knowledge that both of these remarkable artists would go with their professional lives. The tone of Adam's voice was tinged with remorse as he expressed his desire to take both of them. "Nevertheless, I have faith in you, Mia. You are going to accomplish a lot of success." As the show progressed, Adam's decision continued to generate a lot of attention among viewers of The Voice, many of whom were divided on whether or not he made the correct choice. In spite of this, there was one thing that was certain. His choice served as a reminder of the challenging, emotional, and often even impossible decisions that coaches are required to make. Every single battle that takes place in the world of The Voice is a test of instinct, heart, and emotion. And for Adam Levine, this particular war was a demonstration of how high the stakes can become. "At the beginning of this, we were so far from where we needed to be," Levine explains. "When we got together and we workshopped what we were going to do, you guys came to the table and you executed it so beautifully. This makes my decision impossible. The harder you make it for us, the better you did," he concludes. "I have to look at the moments that stood out most to me, because there is no better or worse here." Find out which singer Levine chooses to keep on Monday's new episode of The Voice at 8 p.m. on NBC and streaming the day after on Peacock.